Hello and welcome back to section 3.4. Today we're going to look at the part 2 video. Today we're specifically going to be looking at where living things get their energy and why are enzymes important to living things. In the last video we talked a little bit about chemical reactions. Today we're going to look at the biological reactions. So in living things we have chemical reactions, and I'm going to write reactions as RXNS. So in living things, chemical reactions are going to occur between large, complex biomolecules. Now many of these reactions, these are going to require a large amount of what we call activation energy. And if you recall from yesterday, activation energy was the minimum kinetic energy that was required to start a chemical reaction. So because a lot of these reactions require so much energy, we have to, or nature rather, kind of comes up with a way to help alleviate that or help make this work in a little bit better fashion. And that's because many of these reactions would not occur quickly enough to sustain life without the help of what we call enzymes. So enzymes are going to be the key piece here that helps reduce the amount of activation energy. So enzymes have some unique features. An enzyme is a molecule that is actually going to help increase the speed of biochemical reactions. Okay, and they do that by holding molecules close together and in the correct orientation. So what this does is, remember, part of the things that you needed to have in order to make a chemical reaction occur was that they had to be close enough to react to one another, and they had to be in the correct orientation. So enzymes are going to help do that. And then an enzyme is also going to help lower the activation energy of a reaction. That way it's going to kind of occur a little bit quicker. By assisting in necessary biochemical reactions then, the enzymes are going to be able to help the organisms maintain homeostasis. And if you recall, homeostasis is kind of like maintaining that equilibrium. So if we take a quick look at this chart here, we can see, based on this green line right here, that this might be the typical activation energy for some type of a reaction. Okay, so looking at this, if we add an enzyme, okay, once we add the enzyme, it's going to significantly reduce the amount of activation energy, because before this peak from our green line, that was our original activation energy. Now with the enzyme, you can see it's greatly reduced, and you can see that the reaction is going to occur a lot quicker now too. Now one of the key things that an enzyme does is it does reduce the amount of energy, but it also does not change the amount of energy that is contained on either the product or the reactant side. So that's another key feature of an enzyme. So an enzyme works because each enzyme has what we call an active site. And an active site is the region where the reaction is actually going to take place. So the shape of the active site is going to determine which reactants or substrates will bind to it. So each enzyme is different because it will only act with certain and very specific substrates. It's kind of like a lock and a key almost. So the binding of the substrate causes the enzyme shape to change. And then this change is going to cause some bonds in the substrates to break, and new bonds then can form. So if we take a look at this visual here, you can see that this purple shape is the enzyme itself, and you can see kind of this little cutout here is what we would call the active site. And this active site has a very specific shape to allow only certain things to come into it. So again, like that lock and key. So then what happens is we have these substrates that are going to bind or connect into that active site. The enzyme then is going to change shape, okay, which is going to kind of speed up or catalyze the process of the chemical reaction between the substrates. Once the chemical reaction is done, then the product is going to be released. So you can see that the substrates are going to create a new product here, and that product is released, and then that enzyme is free and available to help out in another reaction, or it can be used again. And if you watch the video link that I have posted on the next slide or on the Mauer Math site, there's another video that will show you kind of how this works too with animations. Now, many enzymes are actually proteins, and changes in temperature and pH can actually change a protein's shape. So if an enzyme changes shape, it's not going to work very well. So most enzymes need a certain range of temperatures and pH. That way, their shape won't change too much so that they won't work anymore. So right here is the link, and this link is also posted on the Mauer Math site. I would highly encourage you to go and watch it and see, like I said, there's some like a little bit better explanations and some visuals that will maybe help you understand this a little more. The last thing that we're going to talk about today is called metabolism. Cells get most of the energy needed for metabolism by breaking down food molecules. And I'm sure most of you have heard about this before, or at least heard that term. The release of the energy from the food molecules is going to occur in a series of reactions that uses many enzymes. So the enzymes are going to aid or assist in this process. So they're going to use many enzymes to capture energy in the form of what we call ATP. And if you recall, ATP is really adenosine triphosphate. ATP generates energy when one of the phosphates from the triphosphate breaks off. So the enzymes then are going to reduce the activation energy so much that only a little energy is needed to start the reactions. When using this process, very little energy is then lost as heat. So to kind of summarize the part 1 and part 2 videos, living things use different chemical reactions to get the energy needed for the life processes, and activation energy is needed to start a chemical reaction. The reactants must also be aligned or have the orientation to form the product. And by assisting in necessary biochemical reactions, enzymes are going to be able to help organisms maintain homeostasis. This does conclude the part 2 video. Please let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you in class.